Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour is presented by Brunswick.
This is frame 7. And as he did in 2 and 3, puts together a double at just the right time. But still behind, Jouni Helminen. Man from Lahti, who runs a pro shop there in Finland. Looks good. Nokel certainly at this moment in the game not giving his man any way back into this first match in the men's Stepladder final. A lot of money at stake once again this year. That's a scorecard. Well, Helminen, with the help of that double in 6 and 7, has got 10 of those pins back. He was down by 15. Set up all important in bowling. Is it going? Yes, it is. Only just. Welcome back. Well, we saw Christian Nokel get that lucky break just before we went away there for our own particular break. And now Helminen working on a double. And that's our first turkey, or 3-bagger, 3 strikes in a row. Coming in frame, it's getting very tense indeed now. We had over 500 players out on the tour last year from 18 European nations. And as well as that, we had players from the United States, Canada, from the Middle East, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Pakistan, India, and indeed even representatives from Australia. And if Jouni is looking nervous, it's because the prize money this year has been increased to in excess of 100,000 German Deutschmarks. .28, not an easy one to convert, but getting solid wood on the front pin, the 2, means the sleeper's taken out as well. Any kind of angle of deflection too light on that leading number 2 pin, and you miss the 8. So no 4 in a row for Jouni. Now he will finish in the 10th, and by virtue of finishing ahead of this man Nokel in the standings for the Stepladder, he has the advantage of knowing what he has to do, and that makes things a whole lot easier for the Finn. With a big 2-4-10 leave coming at just the wrong moment for Christian Nokel. Well, he had that amazing night in the shadow of the pyramids in Cairo, the World Cup winner in '97, the first ever outdoor event taking place there south of the Egyptian capital. He needs another big shot here, but he's not going to get it this time. Showed us how to convert the washout in frame 5 with a great 1-2-10 takeout, but this time the 10 pin remains standing. And that's thrown the ball right back in Helminen's court. He's never headed the German in this match until the key foundation frame, the 9th. And now he's got his nose in front for the first time. And a big, big 10th frame is required from Nokel. Must strike, you feel, to stand the game. Nearly has a 7-10 leave. Nearly left the big 2 there, just got something on the 10. But really needed a strike to stay in the game. Slides the ball a little long before hitting the bite point. So hard now to put Jouni Helminen under any kind of pressure when he steps forward to the foul line for the 10th and final frame. All he can do now is maximise the pin count with a strike. This is where the bonus ball comes into play at the end of the 10th. The one frame where, in theory, you get 3 shots. So the spare ball is bonus, and this is it to complete the 10th. All 10 will give him a final score of 204. Can he do it? Yes, he can. 204 is the target. Now, if Helminen throws a loose shot, leaves a big split, or even a simple one-pin leave and misses it, then Nokel's still in the game. But if he clears the frame, the fin is through. Strike or spare. Strike is one way of killing the game stone dead. A spare is doing it the hard way, but it should be Jouni Helminen's game. Ball's on its way, looks high, but a strike is all that's necessary to eliminate Christian Nokel. So the one German representative of the Final Four is saying goodbye here in Hamburg. Not the perfect pocket shot, but he's had 3 strikes from the last 4. He got away with the open frame in the 5th, and now he has 2 shots to find 3 pins. This will go straight down the middle. Hitting wood is all he needs. Never mind about that. There's your winner, Jouni Helminen, the 28-year-old Finnish international and 1996 World Team Champion, has eliminated the number 4 seed. Patricia, no doubt, will have a word of consolation for her man Nokel. And it's disappointing, of course, for the crowd here inside the US Play Center as well, as Helminen goes marching on now to take on another Finn in the semi-final, Sami Heinila. 2 Finns and the top seed Swede in contention here on tour stop number 1. So it's farewell to Christian, and our first look at Sami. Didn't feature last season in any of our Stepladder televised finals. Here he is today, the 26-year-old from Helsinki. An all-Finnish affair, 2 players who know each other well. Jackie Falstenstein just catching up on a little bit of industry gossip. He's the FIQ vice president, and from his base, very much in charge of the FIQ European zone in Brussels. So here's the new man, the number 2 seed, the 26-year-old Sami Heinila, away in frame 1. And down go all 10. Tapio Vuorinen, the 1975 world champion, there he is on the right. Rodon Hugh just taking some refreshment, is here. I wonder if he's trying to be impartial. Coaching the Finnish national squad, and has a word of advice for both players. Sam is without a coach of his own on tour, whereas, as we saw, he only has his friend and advisor alongside him, Petri Manonen. So the battle of the big Finns. Helminen, who's still to graduate from college. He's devoted so much of his time to bowling over recent years. Sami with a completely different style, one the crowds love to see. Solid 10 leave in the second. He'll go now wide on the left and angle his spare ball hard diagonally across the lanes. There you go, right on the button. Has a 2-month-old baby back home in Helsinki, Sami. So strike spare in the second and another strike again in the third. And there's Tapio Porinen, the 1975 bowling world champion. Also involved in the bowling business, as is his opponent. He's a product manager. And this time, Jouni can't get anything on the 10-pin. Seems a little happier now. We've been observing Jouni between shots. He's been taping up that first choice bowling ball. It's got a lovely action. But after a weekend of intense competition, the fingers can swell or blister or flake, crack, anything really. And the thumb, of course, is the one that takes so much abuse, and it is important that the thumb release is clean every time. So Jouni's been taping up the thumb hole on his ball and just making a few adjustments. Armin Speckman making sure everything is all correct and above board. Well, the computer scoring in all modern bowling centres does that for us. But referees have been known occasionally to do spot checks on the bowling ball, for instance, weighing it, making sure it's of legal weight, shouldn't be over 16 pounds, and also measuring the bowling ball. And spot checks are not unknown. Wonderful angle on that pocket shot of Heinila's. Well, a repeat for Helminen of the shot he left himself with in frame 9 of game 1. It's the 2-8 once again. Put it away the first time. Now can he do it again in frame 5? Hasn't been able to build on any of his strikes so far. He's just had a couple in frames 1 and 4, but each time failed to make the double. And here in the 5th, going for the 2-8, looks light, missed the 2. So we're going to take a short break. Rejoin us after this. Welcome back to the US Play Center here in Hamburg. Tour stop 1 on this year's Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour. Jouni Helminen, who we've just seen miss a 2-8 conversion with his last shot before the break. And back in frame 6, trailing by over 30 pins now and beginning to run out of frames. 6-10 leave in the 6. Only 2 strikes so far as well. That's poor. Certainly couldn't afford another open frame. Making sure with that one. Now, people always asking us for information about the tour, where they can catch up with it and see us live. We'll be in Dresden for the final weekend of November. If you're in the vicinity, do come down and join in the fun. And also later in the show, we'll be giving you a website, all you bowling fans, for all the updated information on what's happening. Please have a pen and paper to hand. Later in the show, we'll be flashing up that website for you. The official Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour Stop website. There you go. Well, the headpin went left, bounced off the wall, would normally have taken down at least 2 of those pins, but I think the 5-pin met it coming the other way out of the pack, and they just crashed into each other. That was a tough break for Sami in frame 6. And, well, he's obviously got to find the angle to fly across there and take out the 10. And when he fails to do, and of course it means that you leave the 8 in the back row standing as well. So that was a bad configuration to leave. Both guys now have opened here. Makes the game very interesting. Sami had a 33-pin lead at the midpoint. Covers the 7 okay. That's tense now for Sami, who almost had the game won, but has to rethink his game plan. Just not carrying those 10s. That's the bane of right-handers. The two contrasting styles here to watch. They're both right-handers, but you see there, Jouni puts it down over 3rd arrow, and the ball travels down the lane just to the right of the headpin. Not on the spares, of course. And then, without too much hook, he finds the pocket, or attempts to anyway. His opponent going wide on the left and playing the inside line, which means he's throwing from inside the pocket he's aiming for, the 1-3 for right-handers, 1-2 on the left, of course, if you're a lefty. So that inside line, he crosses the center of the chevrons, the 4th arrow, and then brings it back with a big hook at the break point. That's the theory anyway. It's a dynamic and very aggressive style from Sami the outsider, who's yet to make the Finnish national side, and Helminen needs to start striking. At last, in the 8th, first one in 4 frames for the more experienced man. So he's halved the deficit now. He was down by 16. Good shot to begin the 8th frame for Heinila. After the first round of qualification, he was only lying 56, this man. No doubles for him either. He just had 2 back-to-backs in 3 and 4. No, he can't carry the 10-pin. Really caught fire in the second qualifying round and leapt up to finish in 2nd place with a 14.33 aggregate and a 2.38 average. So Helminen really is up behind the 8 ball now. He's got a double at last in 8 and 9. So again he claws another 10 pins back. 2 strikes against the strike spare combo of his opponent Heinila. And this time it's his opponent who will finish in the 10th, so Jouni has to make it tough. leaves the 4. Could be the decisive moment in this semi-final. Has the spare and 1 bonus ball to come. The strike here will leave him with 195, and I don't think that's going to be enough. Well, into frame 10, Heinila leading by 8 pins. Now normally from that position the bowler finishing should win. He only has to clear the frame. A spare should do it, but a strike for sure nails his opponent to the floor. It's the reverse of the endgame situation we had from game 1, and this time it's Helminen who must sit and squirm. So is the big favourite here going out. It's on its way, top of the 10th, to win the game. 26-year-old Sami Heinila with his 2-month-old daughter Vera at home. We hope tuning in on Mummy's lap. Not sure how much of it she'll be getting just yet, but I'm sure Dad will be replaying the video as she gets older. So rolling for show now, just to complete the count. And with this final shot, if it is to be a spare for Sami Heinila, he's going to win by those 8 pins. The advantage he carried through from frame 9 is the difference between the 2 fins at the end of our semi-final match. And it's Heinila who really has caught fire over the last 24 hours. A no-hoper from round 1. A few would have expected to see him here amongst the final 4. Now he's in the grand final. So Helminen again making it to the Stepladder final, but not going all the way to top place on the podium. And it's Sweden playing Finland. How often do we see that in major European championships? They are the 2 great powers of European bowling, and it's Per Gustavsson who will now have to face the man who's hot, and away in frame 1 of our grand final on the first tour stop of the new season. Heinila for this 7-pin. That's his spare. He began, so he will finish. That's interesting. Per, as the top seed, had the call on that one and preferring to go second. Well, I saw Per up in Norrköping at Easter when we covered the Lesline Cup, and he made the Stepladder final. They had a 300 as well, incidentally, in qualifying. He really was over the moon with that. Who wouldn't be? Shame it wasn't on the live telecast, but he came into the final very, very nervous. I spoke to him in the dressing room beforehand. He was chewing his lip and didn't want to give me an interview, and came out and threw 2 horrible big splits early on in the game and never recovered. Well, that could have been a nervous opening once again for the man from Gothenburg. Down they go. The 3-5-9-10. Tightly bunched, but easily missable when you're up to the foul line for your first shot in front of the TV cameras. Remember, finishing in first position, it means that Per has had to wait for an hour or so. Has he gone cold? Oscar Bustrom, business and training partner. They're getting younger all the time. Over to the left-hand lane now. For our top seed, and that's the type of bowling that's made him the man to beat here this weekend. So if there were any nerves, they've very quickly been settled with that shot in the second. Second time up to the foul line for Sami. I wonder what Oscar's business is. Do you think he has a hair salon? No. I see from my notes they're both engaged in the bowling business and sales representatives for Brunswick in Sweden. Very tense atmosphere. You could hear a pin drop out there. I think the German fans, disappointed to see Nokel go out so early, realise they are in the presence here of two masters. Armin's seen it all before, of course. High hit. But this should be a fairly comfortable spare. So Sami has two spares and just the one strike from his first three frames. Now the 25-year-old from the Nybro club in Gothenburg, at his 97 average was around 200. He's been bowling now for 13 years, coached by Ulf Hemnes back home, but out on tour with Magnus Jonsson, who does our Golden Bowling Ball commentary for Eurosport in Sweden. This is his first final appearance out on the Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour. So, he's sparing as well, nothing in it at all through the first three frames in the final as we take another short break. Back to the grand final here in Hamburg on the first tour stop of the new season. And I know people keep asking me, when are we going to see some British bowlers out on the Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour? Well, we're working on that. And I'm going to have a word with Chris Buck and some of my friends back there at the Airport Bowl in London. And we'll be doing our level-headed best to get some of those guys together. And if they can get a bit of sponsorship and a bit of backing, we'll try and get some British interest later on in the series. Why not? You've got to be in it to win it. And it's time we saw some of the best that Britain has to offer getting into these finals as well. Now, who's going to win here? Will it be the Swede or will it be the Finn? Sami, the 26-year-old, that is his coach, Tapio, as we said, a world champion himself in the 1970s. Well, his allegiance split, but now that Helminen has said goodbye, putting all his wisdom and knowledge behind Sami Heinila. Here he is on the right-hand lane nearest us. Down goes another spare. And don't forget to make a note of that website coming up for you shortly on screen as well if you want more information on this year's tour itinerary and all the facts and figures as well about the bowlers and results. Well, it really is up for grabs here. Who wants to step forward now and put together a big sequence? We haven't seen that in any of our games so far, really. Nothing more than, I seem to remember, a turkey from Jouni in the last game. It's been very tough here. Lane conditions for the final not matching those we saw in qualifying when averaging 225, 230. And all our winners so far around the 200, 210 mark. You can see the self-doubt there on Per's face as he tries to work out the right line here on our pair of TV lanes. Why didn't that 10 go down? It was a perfect shot. Sometimes you just don't get the breaks. So there you see, through to frame 5. It was a one-pin game in the Swedes' favour, but a strike for Heinila in the 5th against the spare from Pear, and he felt he should have had a strike. There was nothing wrong with his first shot, just bad luck. Should even itself out, however, over the 10 frames. He's light this time. Soft hit. 7 count. Could be the opportunity that Heinila's been waiting for. Well, this is routine. Normally in training, 3-6-10. All in a row. No! Balance was bad at the foul line. Maybe rushed the setup. 4th in the Les Lyon Cup last Easter, where Helminen was the runner-up. Nothing happening around the 10 now for the Finn either. There is our website. I did warn you. Well, neither bowler here can just string together the strikes that will turn good play into really great play and give them that 225, 230 winning game. Right in the balance now, this one. Strike coming in frame 7. He likes it out on that lane. Struck there in frame 5. Heinila then. 119 through the 6. Stretching the lead after Gustavsson's error with the open frame. Now he's got to put that behind him as he comes forward in frame 7. That looks better. Down by 13 at that point. Both men are working on strikes. Who's going to pull out the big end game now to seal the title here in Hamburg? Over to the left-hand lane this time for the Swede. He's a little bit soft there. This is incredible. Pear has been unable to build behind every strike. It's been a spare, and yet again, for the 3rd consecutive time, he'll have to settle for another spare. If he can cover this 2-pin, should be academic, it is. But it's doubles, it's triples, it's 4-baggers these boys are looking for. And it's what they'd expect, to be honest, when they're practicing. But yet again, we have another tight game that's ebbing and flowing and going to run out around the 200 mark. Oh, go on. Well, that was a tough break for Sami. He's had a couple in this final. He too, an almost identical scorecard to the Swede, has been unable to fill behind every strike with nothing more than a spare. But still the lead remains for the 26-year-old from Helsinki. Making his first appearance in a grand final, and he still can't carry those 10 pins. Remember, right-handers leave 10 pins, left-handers leave 7s. That's just the way the rack of pins will break for you. Coming into the 1-3 pocket, you see the ball there. Deflects right. You need the pin carry. You look for the 6-pin to take out the 10, or the 3-pin to trip off the side wall. That bowling ball can only ever physically hit 4 pins, remember. Doesn't matter where you throw it. The other 6 have to go down with pin action. And that is an error from Sami, coming at just the wrong moment. And that was all down to pressure. Amazing how this game finds people out when you get into that crucial 9th frame. Now Gustavsson has both 9 and 10 to complete. He's going to post a total that his opponent will have to match or beat. And he knew what a crucial shot the 9th frame is. He willed that one through, rips out all 10. Now he can regain the lead. I say regain, it was only 1 pin at the midpoint. They really are into the final furlong now, neck and neck. Well, 2 more strikes. It seems simple on the graphic, but nobody throughout the Stepladder final here, over 50 minutes of play in Hamburg, has been able to consecutively strike out on those lanes. Gustavsson can. For the very first time, top of the 10th, it is at last a double for the man from Gothenburg. He plays for the Eagles Club up there, and he's about to spread his wings. Just got a tap on the 7. Very tough lane conditions indeed. Per, whose aggregate was 1480 to finish in top spot, was 57 pins better off than the number 2 seed here, Heinila, and his personal trainer, Oscar Brustrum, is already celebrating. He will be now. He will be now 3 in a row. He got his nose in front, saw the winning post, put on the gallop, and now he just needs a couple of pins to put it beyond anything that Sami Heinila can produce of his own in the 10th frame. Well, the tactic has worked. It's unorthodox. Normally you'll find the top seeds preferring to come in to the final with the option of bowling the final frame themselves. Not so. Gustavsson has thrown down the gauntlet. He finds 3 in a row through 9 and 10. No matter with that one, the bonus ball at the end of the 10th posts a 2:05 scoreline. Well, he's not breaking any records with that. Probably below his season average. But it puts him in pole position to take the first big paycheck of the new season here in Hamburg. And a rather routine 10-pin conversion in frame 9 that just somehow got away from Heinila. He opened the door, Gustavsson was through and across the finishing line, as Sami, I'm afraid, was left in the blocks. However, this has been a great occasion, I'm sure, for him. 2nd place is no disgrace whatsoever. Remember, the best 36 men and 12 women will qualify for the Masters final in Lille next June. And he's putting valuable ranking points on the board with this finish today in the US play set in Hamburg. But the winner from Gothenburg, Sweden, is 26-year-old Per Gustavsson. He puts behind him the disappointment of the Les Lion Cup earlier this season, and 2:05 playing 187 in the end. It's quite comfortable as Sweden beat Finland in the grand final. 2nd place for Sami Heinila. No disgrace for a man running 57th after the first round. I'm sure he never expected to get this far. So it's forward to the prize-giving ceremony, and here in Hamburg, ringing out is the sound of the Swedish national anthem, and it's over to Per to give us his very own unique rendition of that. In 4th place was Christian Nokel. 3rd, Jouni Helminen. I'm sure we'll be seeing him once again in action later on in the season. Big outsider, Heinila, in the runners-up spot. But your first winner of the 1998-99 tour, Per Gustavsson, the man on the microphone. Well, all we can say, Per, is you're a better bowler than you are a singer, but well done. The Swedish colony here in Hamburg have loved every minute of it. 20,000 plus Deutschmarks in the bank account for the man from Sweden. The finishing positions there through 5 and 8. Hope very much you've enjoyed the action from Hamburg. As always, you are making the Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour on Eurosport one of our most popular programs, and thank you very much for all your support over the last 9 months. We'll see you for the latest Stepladder final here from Hamburg very shortly on this channel. And my thanks go to Wolfgang Strupp for his logistical and technical support in this production. Latest Stepladder final next time up. I'll see you then.